Welcome back to Beards and Brews. Hey, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you know when we have another one brewing. This week's movie is going to be This Is Spinal Tap. Now, fellas.
I'm a fan of the music. Not theirs, but the genre of rock and roll.
This is actually the first time that I'd seen this. I know this is supposed to be like straight into my wheelhouse, but this was the first time that I'd seen it. I'd seen all kinds of like little clips and like memes and things about it. First time I'd seen it, honestly, better than I thought.
That's good to hear. Like, I tried to pick a movie that we could talk about where I had a feeling like we're just going to talk about the gags, but that's kind of what I wanted.
Absolutely.
That's all this movie offers is just like clever dialogue and just goofs.
And in that way, it is straight into my wheelhouse. That's what I mean. It's dialogue heavy, doesn't really have a whole lot of plot. Who fucking needs plot anyway? Yeah. And it's about rock and roll, baby.
Rock and roll. You know, rock and or roll. It's a thing, isn't it?
It was like Monty Python, but with burnout rockers.
And just to knock the plot out of the way, this is just about a has-been rock star band just fucking fading into obscurity over like 90 minutes.
Yeah, done in the style of a mockumentary. This is a Rob Reiner directed picture where Rob Reiner actually plays like the filmmaker. He doesn't play himself, but like basically it's Rob Reiner.
Yes, like director Rob Reiner plays the director of this movie, but he also directed the movie.
I liked his USS what the fuck ever hat had me cracking up.
Yeah, because he was like a veteran at some point, maybe. No, probably not. No, I'm getting a no in my headphones. Yeah. No, he was not.
He totally found that hat in one of those like army surplus stores.
He got it at the Goodwill, the Philadelphia Goodwill.
Specifically. Oh, so Philadelphia's not a big rock town. It's okay.
No, Philadelphia, that's a real rock and roll town. New York, who needs it? You're never going to penetrate their whatever. Philadelphia, that's where we need to go. That's a real rock and roll town.
At least we got a bigger stage than the puppet show.
Oh, man. Like, their slow descent into, like, just bullshit or just had me cracking up the whole time.
Yeah, see, this movie, it's really hard to talk about in the sense of A to B to C to D because it's literally just 90 minutes of deteriorating improv. You just watch these guys go, we're rockers! Oh, nobody likes us anymore. Look, we're live on stage. Everything's falling apart. Ah! Movie's over.
The movie even encapsulates that, too, in just, like, one little scene. Like, midway through the movie, they're just trying to find their way onto the stage, and they just wind up in BFE somewhere.
Dude. That's one of the scenes that I'd seen before, and I love it. It lasts a little bit too long, but I think that's what makes it great.
That's one of my 3 scenes that just really stuck with me because they're like, "All right, here we go to the stage, yeah, woo, rock and roll." And the guy's just standing there, and he goes, "What?" And he goes, "I think you got turned around, buddy." He's like, "What?"
He's extremely kind too. He's like, "No, listen, go right down there, take a hard right, see the door in front of you. It's important people only. You're important people. You guys are musicians." They're like, yeah, we're musicians. Rock and roll. Let's go. And in the 30 seconds it took them to like turn the corner 3 times, it's that same dude's like, what the fuck?
But this takes place in 1982. These guys evidently got their start in 1966 playing like a Beatles-esque rock and roll band. And we find out a little bit later that they were eventually veered into like the Flower Power. I don't remember what they called themselves, but for a brief period of time, they were basically Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot what the name was too. Like what they started as. It was like we were the originals, but then like another band down the way was also the originals, so we were the re-originals or something like that. It's like I don't know.
We decided to call ourselves the New Originals, and then the other originals changed their name to something fucking else. So we were like, we can just change our names back to the originals. But then they were like, nah, that's too much work. Let's just go with it.
This is ad-libbing at its best. You know, it's like clearly 3 dudes trying to make each other laugh. Mm-hmm. And not like some weird pretension like, well, I made this up and it's funny. Hey, yeah, you know?
Yeah, they've definitely sat around, bullshit with each other, and were like, hey, why don't you be that British character that we always made fun of? And they're like, oh, man, I can totally fucking do that. Hang on, what's my name going to be? I want to be fucking Nigel. And then he's just, he encompasses this ignorant British rocker that really thinks he's so much fucking cooler than he is. And they all do that, and it's beautiful. And I really like how the director guy of the documentary, mockumentary, rockumentary, goes, your fan base is mostly young men. And he goes, well, the women, they're scared. Have you seen what's in my trousers? It's like a fucking
Yes, an
armadillo.
No. He says your fan base is mostly made of young boys, and he was just like, well, it's sexual, isn't it? I don't know. In 2021, your fan base is mostly young boys, and it's sexual, isn't it? That gives me a little bit of pause, and I'm like, is that the joke? Was that a joke in 1984? I don't know.
I mean,
it could be.
But when you think about it, it's really quite frightening.
Yeah. The line about armadillos in our trousers or some weird shit like that.
Well, fuck, the movie even took the moment, like when they were playing their song, to have like cameras angled up at their crotch or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
Giant zucchini stuffed in their pants.
Amber walked into the room right when that was happening. Goes, why are you watching a movie with some dude's dick? God damn it.
So this movie, as far as I'm concerned, revolves around four guys. I don't know if you guys have any. I don't know if you guys really paid attention to anybody else, but to me, it's just the four guys: Rob Reiner and like three of the bandmates. I don't know how many guys are in this band.
Technically 40
like six?
something.
I don't know.
They got the three, headliners. So you have like the singer, the bassist, and the guitarist, and they're basically the lifeline of the movie. They're great.
Absolutely.
And then you have like revolving door drummer. It's a super fun running gag where like their drummers just mysteriously die haphazardly through the movie, and they go through like 3 or 4 people. One, even when they have a clip of him in a bathtub being like, you know what, the band told me that like all these drummers died, and I'm not afraid of it. It's just ebb and flow. And there's like a clip of him like bursting in the flame and being switched to somebody else.
No, he's like, law of averages. Law of averages say I'll be okay. And then like 10 minutes later, he just explodes.
Yeah, I think the keyboardist, which is like the 5th band who took over or whatever, and he's just like haphazardly in the movie too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So yeah, it's Rob Reiner who plays the straight man, and then you got Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, and Harry Shearer. Those are the big three as far as I'm concerned. They play respectfully the guitarist, the lead singer, and the bassist. Yeah. And I'll tell you, it took me like a half an hour into this movie before I realized the bassist with the big old long chops and hair that was Harry Shearer.
Yeah, Principal Skinner.
I want to like jump into a plot point and keep going, but it's literally just set pieces of them talking.
Yeah.
And I was really amused. Another one of the spots was one of the characters starts playing the piano, and it's honestly beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Michael McKean, yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you. That piece is very beautiful. But like,
what's the name of that piece?
But all the shit that we will get to that. But like, all the shit he was saying was just like musician babble. Like, it's all horse shit. It's like, D minor, the saddest of the notes. Like that's the same shit you would hear from like the dude at Guitar Center, just like trying to like pretentiously explain what he's doing.
It's part of a trilogy. Yeah,
and Rob Reiner, the director in the movie, is like, wow, that's one of the most beautiful pieces of music I ever heard. What do you call it?
Fucking lick my love pump.
It's the delivery and the hard cut to the next scene that sold it. It's just like, and there it goes.
Before that, he's talking about it, like you mentioned so much about like D minor is the saddest of all the keys. Like it'll just bring grown men to weep. This is where I've really combined my influences from Mozart and Bach, and this is really my what's it called? Oh, it's Lick My Love Pump.
Oh, he also makes like a point to be like, it's like a mixture between Mozart and Bach, more of a mock, Yeah.
Something that really had me giggling was they're the rock stars, but you can tell that they don't really run things behind the scenes. They submit a cover for their new album, and they're accused of being sexist because it's all the rockers beating a woman with like BDSM shit. He goes, no, it's sexy, And they go, no, that's sexist. It would be sexy if she was hitting you with this stuff. And they're all like, like they just didn't get it.
Yeah. And that like little one-off lines like, oh, it's a thin line between clever and stupid. And the dude just holds up his hand like an inch. He's like, yeah, that's it.
But like the first thing that really gets me laughing in this movie, the first thing is when they're actually talking about what happened to their previous drummers. Like we get to see what happens to their current drummers, but they go through, well, like our first drummer died in a tragic gardening accident. It's tragic. We won't get into it. But our second drummer died. It's awful. Choking on vomit. We don't know whose vomit it was. You can't really do dusting for vomit.
Yeah. I love his reasoning. It's like everything is up in the air. It's like, sometimes the cops are just like, some things are left unsolved.
Yeah.
Better left unsolved.
Yeah, just
Right.
like let it be, you know.
Oh shit.
But like shortly after that, like we also get like that brief history of Spinal Tap and whatever,
Mhm.
and they go through all these like bullshit albums that they had previously or whatever.
Oh yeah.
They had some like Christian rock thing. I guess it was just full of pretension and just nonsense or whatever. And
Oh,
then
was
they,
it the gospel according to Spinal Tap?
yeah, it's just something ridiculous. Like the album cover is actually kind of cool. But then they
Yeah.
have like their most recent album before the one's coming out in this movie is called Shark Sandwich. And in the best delivery in all of cinema, Rob Reiner as the director's like, looks like it only has a 2-word review, and I can't believe they printed this. Shark Sandwich, more like shit sandwich.
Yes.
And the fucking band members just sit there and go, "They didn't write that, did they?" And they go to look over and see if he really wrote it, and then it cuts away from it.
Yep, that's
They
printed.
can't print that, can they? And what's brilliant about that, like, I've had to look into it. Apparently, that whole scene, like the reviews and stuff, they knew they were going to talk about it, but like the punchline, none of the guys knew about it. So that was actually them trying to hold in a laugh.
Nice.
Yeah, but if I'm being honest, like honestly, the music in this movie is quite a bit better than I expected it to be.
All right, you'll like this even better because they all actually play their own instrument. They're actually
You're
a
shitting
band.
me.
No, you
Get
can
the
go on
fuck
YouTube.
out of here.
I will not, sir. You can go on YouTube and they've played live for 30 or 40 years since. You know, they're actually really good musicians.
Now the lyrics and everything, the themes, they're fucking ridiculous. Might as well be Andrew Dwyer from Parks and Rec making up these songs. But musically, like this could just as easily be like Dio or Alice Cooper, or there's
Yeah.
a song that sounds just like Highway Star by Deep Purple that we hear a couple of times. Like this is some solid fucking rock and roll, mate.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of this sounds like very close rip-offs or, like off-brand versions of another song that you've heard before.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%. Like when we were talking about like how they used to be the Beatles and they turned into the Strawberry Alarm Clock and now they're basically just like Rainbow, you know, it's just like almost full circle.
Well, you gotta always recall that they've earned themselves a distinguished place in rock history as one of Britain's loudest bands.
Right, louder.
Yeah, that's their only accolade, like not like millions of copies sold or whatever. They're just very loud.
Well, wasn't
Oh
that?
man, this is 80s Death Clock the movie.
I
That's
mean, yeah,
good.
pretty much. But
Absolutely.
wasn't one of the Who's like earliest things, like their big grab, that they were the loudest band in the world?
Yeah, like they were equally as loud as a jet engine or something.
Yeah.
There's only one way to get louder than that, and that's by cranking it up to 11.
That scene, like that's honestly one of
It's
the
beautiful.
not even one of the, it is the classic scene from this movie. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
great scenes, but the these go to 11 scene, chef's
That-
kiss.
Yeah, and that scene, like as a musician, like I myself a guitar player, that whole scene leading up to it is just fraught with small little things that no one else is going to catch.
Mhm.
Like that guitar that couldn't even be looked at or pointed at or
Right.
whatever. There's only 2 of those in the world, and there's one just there. That's the reason why he was being such an asshole about
Oh,
it.
seriously?
That's the joke, but no one's gonna get it.
This one's still got the price tag on it. No, don't touch it. I wasn't gonna
Got
touch
the old
it.
tag on it.
I was just pointing at. Well, don't point at it. But can I look at it? Don't look at it.
Don't even
look
think
at
about it.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, get out of here. And of course, we get to like the joke. And he's like, look at all the Marshall lamps over there. Look, they go to 11, you know? Everyone else, they're like rocking out at 10, nowhere to go. But we have a little extra and go to 11.
Well,
And-
why don't you just make it go to 10 and make 10 a little bit louder?
But these go to 11.
Yeah, that beat is what sells it. Because you can see like the little gears in his head. He's like, wait a minute.
And speaking of things that go to 11, what I've got here today at 11% alcohol by volume from New Holland Brewing Company out of, I don't know, somewhere in the United States. What I've got is Dragon's Milk Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout. This is 11% alcohol by volume. Ooh, that is roasty, boys. Can't even see through this at all. That is like opaque as all fuck.
Oh, are you trying to say that's none more black?
None more black than this. Ooh, I've had other versions of this beer before, but I've never had like, is this the original? Yeah, this is the original.
It's the original?
Well, it's the new original.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, this is deep and roasty. This is definitely a big old stout. It's an imperial stout. I honestly don't get a whole lot of that bourbon barrel aged stuff Like, I'm sure it's there. I think it's a little bit overwhelmed by the alcohol and just like the big, sweet, roasty malt characters. Lots of caramel, big caramel. There's a little bit of like coffee in there, like sweet coffee, not like roasted coffee, but maybe like a latte. There's like a little bit of that. I don't know if there's lactose in here, but it wouldn't surprise me because it just is that sweet. It's not overwhelmingly sweet, but you can tell that there's a good bit of sweetness in there. Very well balanced between the alcohol, the malt character, the sweetness. This is a really good stout. Like an Imperial 11% stout. I could drink this all day. I'd get fucked up, but I'd drink it all day.
That's what happens when you crank it up to 11.
Absolutely.
Dang.
So the next thing that I have in my notes is that Fran fucking Drescher?
Yeah, absolutely. This is pre-UHF, which is, of course, what we all know her from.
Absolutely. But I knew it was her just as soon as I heard her voice. I saw her, and I was like, she looks familiar. And then the voice, and I was like, the fucking nanny.
There we go. See,
You just saw her across the room. You're like, wait a minute. Is that who I think it is?
It's like hearing Peter Griffin or something.
yes.
But yeah, 1984, Fran Drescher. She's the host of some kind of soiree going on in their honor. I don't know what it is.
Well,
They're
she's,
rock stars hanging out at a hotel party.
Yeah, I feel like she's the in-between. Like, they had, like, the higher-up record people hosting this party, but she's, like, the person you talk to get what you need. So, like, anything the band comes up with, like, it has to be filtered through her first, second, anything. I wouldn't know, like, maybe a producer.
I don't know. She's got, like, a little tag on that says host. So, I don't know. She's just
got the
like...
little tagger on.
Yeah, right. She's just like the person that you go to and it's like, hey, I need a little bit more cocaine. Is there any cocaine in the house? Okay, you can get that for me? Cool. I'll be right over here.
Oh, Fran Drescher. I will always. I remember seeing UHF before ever knowing who she was, and she didn't click in my brain. Going back and watching it later, I will still always go, oh, look, it's Nanny Fine.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know what? I'm going to say it. She's kind of hot in this. Until she starts talking. Like, there's something about her voice that's just like, no, but...
Just kind of sleazy hot.
She's kind of hot. She's got that, like, 80s style fancy, but not too fancy kind of hotness. It's like designing women or something.
Yeah, like you would do a rail off her cleavage and then just rail her.
I mean, I'm the kind of guy that would do the rail off, like, one butt cheek. Just so it's like, you know, I'm not losing any momentum when I turn her around.
You do you, fan.
You know what I'm saying?
Dang, dude.
Have I thought this out too much?
She'd be screaming in that voice. And I feel
It's like the fucking Fallout alarm.
Sheffield.
It's like the old-fashioned, like, raid alarms that you crank.
Yeah, it's like it's like the bell to go home for the Flintstones.
Oh, the fucking steam whistle.
Yeah.
He just grabs the ass of the bird.
And then the next thing that I have in my notes is that Billy fucking Crystal.
Yeah,
People
he did this
just
movie
fucking
like
showing
4
up.
seconds.
There's somebody else that shows up a little bit later, and I'm like, what are they doing here? What is this?
Fucking Paul Schaefer from David Letterman is just in this movie telling people to kick his ass.
I didn't even know that was Paul Schaefer until you told me.
He's got much more hair and less piano around him, so you know he can disguise himself easily.
Anyway, so they're on this tour, this U.S. tour. They're an English band, kind of on their last legs on this U.S. tour. They're supposed to hit up, you know, New York and then Philadelphia. There's Boston. Boston got canceled. Okay, Boston canceled.
It's okay. Boston's not a big college town. We can go to the next spot. Don't worry.
It's not like it's Ann Arbor or something like that. It's just Boston.
See, that's what I love about their manager or whatever, is that, like, this is clearly, like, their last shot, and things are falling apart like crazy. But he's just like, no, man, I got you. Don't worry about it. Philadelphia's good. New York, fuck him. It's all right. Nobody goes to New York. You know what's in New York? Crime.
Yeah, he tries to take the sunny side of like every little situation that comes up. Like the scene when they're like in the hotel. It's like, oh, we gave you 1 suite on floor number 7 instead of 7 suites on floor number 1. Sorry about that. All right, we got it figured out. We have our 7 rooms. The bad news is just a little bit of bad news. The gig is canceled, but we got our rooms.
I love in that little instance of the manager giving the concierge like a hard time, the dude at the desk. And he said something like a very British insult. And the guy's like, I am how God made me. Just like hard cuts.
Yeah, like he's having none of it.
Yeah.
That was kind of a golden line from just like a throwaway character like the concierge or whatever at the hotel with these big like double Coke barrel glasses.
Yeah, he just roasted him. He's like, listen, man, I am how God made me.
Yeah.
Like he was this close to just start throwing hands.
And I don't mean to reiterate this. This movie goes nowhere, but between each of these little vignette scenes, there's some kind of a golden line in every one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this movie goes nowhere. The band technically goes nowhere, but I hear they're big in Japan.
Well, they might get there. But there's man, every once in a while we'll get a scene of them on stage actually at a gig and they'll play a new song every time.
All right. We definitely got to talk about their gigs because just like their career, it's like shrinking in like importance and also like bombacity. So like at the beginning of the movie, they're Spinal Tap. They're like this 80s rock and roll band, rock and roll, mate. And they're big, bombastic, loud. Their stage performances are fucking ridiculous. Like they're all in tights with their armadillos hanging out. They're jumping all over the fucking place. Even subtle things that had me laughing when like there was one performance where I realized they were doing a number and they were all playing bass. That had me fucking rolling. I was like, wait a minute, what? And there's like one act where like the guitarist has like a really fucking small Les Paul, like really fucking tiny guitar, but he's belting out this guitar solo. Just fucking nonsense, right?
Well, there's the one performance where the guitarist has like, I think it's the guitarist. He has like the double, like the fucking Jimmy Page double guitar.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's like a big, like almost a BC Rich or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, but the joke is everybody had double neck instruments for no reason. Like even the bassist, like fuck whatever. But I think the creme de la creme of their stage performances is that the guitarist Nigel, he didn't know the difference between inches and feet. So he's like, oh, just do like a little middle-aged thing, you know, have like a Stonehenge in the background. And first of all, the song Stonehenge is fucking flawless. I love it. But the fact that he wanted an 18-foot thing of Stonehenge, like a replica, and he wrote down 18 inches, and they just fucking went with it, and they gave it to him.
Might as well.
Yeah, and like, there's something perfect about it. So they're on stage, they're being goofy, and like out of the darkness descends little Stonehenge.
I lost it whenever, number one, they roll with tiny Stonehenge. The band doesn't know. It comes down. You see him like double take look at it and then get really confused because the dwarves are dancing around it. And it almost looks like Stonehenge is dancing also. And he just looks so fucking pissed. But the dwarves are so fucking into it.
He's staggered.
It's just like, well, what's this then?
What's incredible about that, just that little joke alone, is that the dwarves were never brought up. But like, you can think like, how can we make the Stonehenge look bigger? Oh, smaller people.
Are you telling me that when those actors got out on stage, are you telling me that they didn't know that those dwarves were going to be there?
Maybe, but I was saying like in the movie, like in context of the information given to us, the dwarf thing was never discussed. But like just putting together in your mind, like, oh, they put those there to make it look bigger.
Yeah, exactly. But when they come out and you just see Michael McKean genuinely confused, I hope that was real.
Yeah, me too. Like it certainly seemed genuine. So hell, I'll roll with it. Whatever, just like Stonehenge, keep it.
But the stage show vignette that I want to talk about is when they're doing, like, I don't even know what's going. This is one of their earlier sets. I think the song name is Pink Torpedo or something. You'll have a throwaway line that's like, my baby fits me like a flesh tuxedo.
Yeah, it's Big Bottoms.
Big Bottom. Talk about mud flaps. My girl's got it. What are mud flaps in this context?
So
Harry Shears.
Now, growing up, personally, when I heard the term mud flaps, that just meant like big saggy titties.
No, I think this has something to do about either the ass or the vagina. But I don't know what is it, like the labia?
Yeah, is it like meat curtains?
I just picture this whole crowd of people dancing to Spinal Tap and like confused Chandler, just like, wait a minute, it's not coming together.
Is there poop on her labia?
Oh no.
Oh, that's how you get a yeast infection, isn't it? Lady viewers, if that's how you get a yeast infection, put it down in the comments.
Oh, fuck. One time somebody chimes in.
You're talking about that being like your stage moment. For me, it was whenever they had the stage show with the pod people shits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's before their druid shit. I forgot that like they were doing some kind of like laser sci-fi show just to get people to show up. And just like you discussed, like everybody arrives, aside from the drummer, everybody arrives in like this weird like fucking Invasion of the Body Snatchers pod or whatever, and then a key moment of the song, they all jump out, but like for fucking whatever reason, nothing goes right, and the bassist is just stuck there for the whole number. It's like 4 minutes.
Not only that, but there's like a poor old stage crew member who's like trying to take a hammer to it to try and get him open and out of there. And then you'll see him with like a, what is it, not a flamethrower, but like a blowtorch. Who's trying to get him out of there. And by the end of the song, he finally gets out of there.
I would love to see that in a real stage show. Like, go see Tool or something, and then fucking for whatever reason, Justin Chancellor's just stuck in some bubble trying to get out the entire time.
And you know it would be Justin too. You know it would be Justin because he's just like, "Hello, how do I get out of here?" Hey.
Adam would have never agreed to even be in it.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy whenever like they get to sit down and kind of talk to the different band members, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you know, we got this amazing dynamic between the characters." I don't remember their names. I think Shelley and Byron. They're two distinct types of visionaries. It's like fire and ice, and I feel my role in the band is somewhere in the middle of that, kind of like lukewarm water.
Yeah, that was the bassist. Yeah, because every time they like had a one-on-one with him, he's clearly the most clueless guy in the whole band. It's fucking phenomenal. Like they even had like a during the credits interview with him. He's like, "Yeah, you know, I'm just hanging out, just having a good time."
I would disagree with you in that he is the most clueless. I think he is the most insightful because you've got two guys who are obviously like the egos of the group who are so separated from what is actually happening that you've got the bassist, Harry Shearer, who's just like, "Yeah, I'm here. It is what it is. You know, we are what we are."
Well, he was the dude that like immediately tried to like put some salve on the situation. Like when they spoilers when Spinal Tap breaks up. He's like, you know, we could just go back and do all the cool shit we didn't get to do the first time,
right?
You know?
Yeah, I see him as the calm, cool head among the three like big egos of the group.
Ah, yes, he's the mutton chop beetle.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we're going through this tour, you know, we hit up New York and Philadelphia, and not so much Boston, but we eventually make our way to Memphis, and we get a real. This is a scene that's probably not actually good, but I enjoyed it. Like, I had to pause because I was like, oh, is this happening? They're at Elvis's gravesite.
Oh, yeah. It's so fucking awkward.
And they're supposed to be making, like, a tribute to him. Like, oh, Elvis, he was such a big influence to the rock and roll genre. We're going to sing Heartbreak Hotel for him.
And, like, just out of hubris, they all just start to, like, try to harmonize. And it goes from, like, oh, this is a sweet moment. And then they're just like, no, put the higher harmony. And it's like for the next 2 minutes, they're just like fiddling with each other, and it's no longer sweet. I'm just like, all right.
No, you sound like a fucking barbershop quartet.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
No. And yeah, it's like a 2.5 minute scene, but it's incredible. It's like Michael Scott from the Office awkward.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is. You just have like Michael and Dwight just trying to outdo each other. And that's all that is.
From here, we find out that the third drummer died from mysterious circumstances. He exploded on stage. So the next thing...
He didn't really leave like a part of dust, more like a stain.
A stain. So the next thing that we know, we're at a festival, like a jazz/blues festival, or is it really like a blues/jazz festival?
Dude, that joke is so dumb, but I love it so much.
It doesn't matter, but there's like 40 total people at this gig.
Yeah, the steady decline throughout, I think, is part of the joke, because they talk about how they had 15,000 people showing up. Now they're playing for 1,500, and then by the end, it's like 15.
And their manager's like super, I don't want to say clever, but he's still trying to be like the good guys. Like, listen, those are like 500 of their greatest fans, because nobody else wants to go see them.
He puts the twist on it that's like, no, they're just being really selective with their fandom now.
Mostly young bullies.
Yeah, mostly boys who were young in the 1970s. Now it's 1984.
Do we have to pull up that line from Bill Paxton, True Lies, again? Like every turn is about.
I'd rather not, because reasons.
Shit.
I mean, he's already looking up maps.
Oh no.
Tumblr, why?
Tumblr, yeah. But the song that they play here, honestly, I think is pretty good. Like, it could be a legitimate like hit song back in the late 60s, early 70s. Give Me Some Money. It sounds like a complete Rolling Stones ripoff, but I'm into it.
That's the song that they played when they were Lost Beatles.
Oh, yeah. This is this is at the little outside venue. It's like the jazz and blues gig where there's just like 50 people sitting around and they're all half paying attention. And they're playing a song that honestly, that's a pretty good song.
I just remember that one dude, that one just chunky fella in the higher seats, just with his hand out, thumbs down, like it's the fucking Roman Coliseum.
Oh, jeez.
And there's probably another guy over there not even paying attention, just like getting an HJ from this girl that he just met.
I mean...
But he's vibing.
Oh, he's just vibing.
He's vibing.
He's like, this is a fucking banger.
Mm-hmm. But the next thing you know, they're back in a tour bus. The girlfriend of the... What is he? The lead guitarist shows up.
The lead singer.
Lead singer? Yeah, Michael McKean's girlfriend.
Definitely.
She shows up.
Definitely like a Yoko Ono character. You know, she comes in, just kind of ruins everything. And
she tells him she can tell that he's gaining weight and he's got to stay away from sugar because he sounds like he has a fat larynx.
Oh man. What a fucking dude.
The scene that I really get into here with her is one of the first few scenes with her. They're talking is like, she and Nigel are similar sometimes, and it's not that they dislike each other. It's more of a love, really. And you just see the camera like sort of zoom in to her narrowing of her eyes, and she's like, yes, love. That's exactly what it is. It's love. I don't hate him.
There's a lot of they really did the whole like controlling relationship thing really well. And when the guitarist finally does 86 the situation, one of the best things is like, this guy clearly lost like a brother. You know, this is a guy who's meant a lot to him. Like he's having that little interview moment. He's like, no, I'm thoroughly torn up, and I tell you, I'd probably feel a little bit stronger, better if I wasn't heavily sedated right now. But you know,
I'm sure I'd feel much worse if I weren't under such heavy sedation.
That's it.
100%.
Next thing I remember is there's a scene at the airport. I don't even remember where they're flying to. They got to fly from one place to another. They're off their tour bus, and homeboy with the mutton chops going through security.
Oh,
he gets the ding, ding, ding. Oh, it must be like my keys and the change in my pockets. I'll take those out. Oh no, it's my jacket. Oh, it's a zipper. It's just a zipper. I'll take that off. All right, it happened again,
dude. It's another thing where like the joke takes a long time, but it's like beautiful payoff. Because like even that moment where he's like, oh, it's just change in my pocket, and he has like 4 handfuls of change from different pockets and just dumping shit out. And then finally, when he's basically just like shirt and pants, he gets the wee woo again going through the metal detector, and everybody's like, ha ha, it's his fucking dick, dude. Hilarious.
He's got a metal dick.
We fucking know, bro. And this to me was a long running payoff because they keep talking about how big his dick is. They keep showing how big his dick is in his pants throughout this entire movie. And then he finally pulls it out. And at first I was like, is that fucking corn on the cob? Like fresh cooked that he's got hiding in there?
Why is it wrapped in aluminum foil in the first place?
That's why I thought it was corn.
Is this grilled?
Yeah.
But he lays down a full ass zook there.
Can't just say that. Well, maybe he put it in like aluminum foil just so he could have that situation.
It's either a cute or a zook. I don't know.
The laughter from the bandmates sounds so genuine, though.
But it stops so immediately. Like my favorite thing about this whole scene is that it doesn't linger. It doesn't try and like gather up as many laughs as it can. He lays the zucchini down and is just like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next scene. You know, it just gives you that like small moment to process it and move on. Because to be honest, like this movie's only like what 90 minutes. It's super short.
Like 88 even.
Yeah, this movie burns and just goes away.
Like each scene, my favorite thing about this is each scene there's like one great line and then we move on to the next one. We don't need to dilly dally. It's just this is the laugh. Let's move on.
And you know that's all I really want. You know, I love how like the guys are just like what you said earlier, Brady's like this movie just came from the idea like, well, I can do a British accent and so can you. Let's riff on this for an hour and a half, and the movie just works for it.
Correct.
And the next thing I've got is when they meet their little promo man out of Chicago after the Memphis gig. Mm-hmm. They meet this guy who just like barges into their hotel room while they're laying around with a couple of hooers.
That's fucking Paul Schaefer, the Paul Schaefer band.
Oh, that's the Paul Schaefer guy. All right, yeah. I remember him. Yeah. Okay, I didn't Yeah, like I remember him now. I did not realize that was Paul Schaefer at all. Wow. All right.
Yeah, he's just like randomly, like most other cameos in this movie, just randomly in there.
But he's supposed to be like the hype guy for this new album they're releasing, the Smell the Glove, which unfortunately had to change this iconic album cover to just like all black.
It could be none more black.
Like, how much more black could it be?
None more black. But like, it's pretty snazzy that like this moment inspired Metallica's Black Album.
Like, I can't imagine that it didn't. Like, if you have an actual source that quotes that, like, I'm not going to dispute it.
That official source is James Hetfield.
Speaking of James Hetfield, there's actually a point that I wanted to bring up. There's actually a lot less sex and drugs in this than I was expecting. I've seen no alcohol, no cocaine, no marijuana, no heroin. I'm kind of disappointed on that front. This is the
That's all
80s. There should be cocaine
Dr.
everywhere. I guess
I think-
so, but do they care?
I think it's more implied. Everyone's already under heavy sedation anyways.
I think these boys are straight edge.
The manager's cricket bat had like cocaine smudges all over it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like when he was talking about it in his office, there's like a big white just like area. And he was trying to think of all these things. They're like, well, does he use it for? Clearly, he's doing something with it.
Well, it actually comes in handy from time to time when I have to clear off all these. Okay, I remember the scene where he's clearing off like all the beer bottles from the table, just getting really angry and stuff like that. All right, there's beer bottles. Good enough.
It's a really good scene too because it's almost like a Snatch moment. It just cuts away to him with that fucking cricket bat just knocking everything all over the fucking place.
What it reminds me of is that scene from The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou when just all of a sudden fucking Raw Power by Iggy Pop or the Stooges just comes along
Yeah.
and Bill Murray
All
just
right.
like wilds out.
I think there should have been a moment in this movie where he does have a wild out moment because he does get shit canned from the band. He winds up coming back in the band's favor, but I feel like he should have like taken out his angst on something. That would have been a really good scene.
So we've dabbled on a little bit, but the stage show, the Druid stage show that ends up with the Stonehenge coming down, this actually starts out really cool.
Yeah, like I said before, like the number's good,
Mhm.
the act on stage is good, the delivery of the Stonehenge gag is flawless.
It starts
Absolutely.
out so serious, really spooky, like Black Sabbath vibes. All the guys are
Yeah.
out there in their little like Druid hoods and everything, and then midgets.
No, I don't think it's as played as serious as you're saying it is because like it's like back in the day when there were druids before history.
Mhm.
You know, no one really knows who they were or what they were doing, but we're gonna sing about them anyway. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, and that, okay, there is no way you can convince me that the song Dance of Death by Iron Maiden wasn't basically just taken from that little Celtic jig that they had going on there.
I mean, why not? I mean, I feel like this is inspired so much.
There's so much that was taken by Spinal Tap as an inspiration, and there's so many things that were an inspiration just from this movie that it's like this is an integral part of rock and roll history, I feel like.
I'll give it that. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. But the little
Stonehenge.
18-inch Stonehenge coming down from the ceiling, like it's this big monolith, this big event coming down at the end of the song. All the while, you've got these, let's call them leprechauns at this point, dancing around the stage.
I mean, careful. I've seen him in space.
Have you seen them in the hood?
Twice.
Nice.
But this is when we get to a little bit of a conflict here. I think right after this is when they actually break up, isn't it? Quote,
Yeah.
break up.
Yeah, the movie actually kind of snowballs and kind of ends abruptly in a positive note, which is good for the band. But like, yeah, you know, the band breaks apart. They're just trying to like cobble together what they have. The bassist is being extra positive, like, hey, why don't we just do that old shit we didn't like and just, you know, do that anyway? And they was like, hell yeah, let's do that.
We've got all
And-
kinds of projects. Oh, what it is like is it the guitarist?
Yeah, the
Let me
guitarist
say that
split.
again. What is it? The guitarist just like walks off stage after that and just gets out of there, and then everybody else is just like, well,
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's definitely like a live musician thing. So like,
Mhm.
if you're a guitarist, a bassist, and you have a wireless rig, if it
Mhm.
is cheap and not running UHF, you will pick up trucker signals, radio
Oh,
signals, and
yeah.
all kinds of bullshit. So in the movie, they go to a military base and play for a retirement home. And like
Yeah,
everybody's
that's what it
jamming
is.
and the music's actually really good, but the guitarist can't solo because all he gets air traffic controller shit over his signal.
And is this the first time that we hear the song Sex Farm?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Sex Farm. Sticking my pitchfork in your hay, girl.
And like all the elderly ladies are just like, "Bleh."
Yes, stick it in.
And Fred Willer's just like, haha.
But you can hear the shit coming in from the Air Force Base through the guitar, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Oh, I'm gonna walk away. This is not my gig. And this wasn't even their original gig. They had a gig at like a legitimate venue, and then it's like that got canceled. But Yoko got him a gig at this Air Force Base. That's how they come to play at this like Air Force hangar or whatever it is in like Des Moines or whatever.
Desmond's, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about that is that like once the band splits and they renamed Tap Lives, and like the final show that they get booked is at a puppet show, and they're not even top billed.
Oh. And these guys were like legends back in the 70s, right? These guys just kind of like completely fell off after their fucking 17th album.
Yeah.
Puppet Show and Spinal Tap.
So guitarist is left. We've got like the 3 other remaining guys, and we don't have a lead guitarist. You know what that means we have to do, right? Freeform Jazz.
I was like, this one was written by all bassists, and it's just a fucking mess. It's just a disaster.
It's just
the
chaotic
band is,
bass, yeah.
Yeah, the band is clearly just like not even on the same sheet of music, and they have fucking Yoko up there with a tambourine just fucking shaking around. It's just.
But it turns out to jazz fans, that's a masterpiece.
Nah, they're fucking turtlenecks and.
That fucking. I don't even know if you meant to do it, but it was flawless. I would listen to that band, Chaotic Bass.
Chaotic bass. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's like John McLaughlin from, what was the band that he was in? The Mahavishnu Orchestra. It's like that kind of stuff. It's like somewhere between unlistenable and amazing.
You mean Frank Zappa?
Yeah, it's like Frank
is.
Zappa, Mahavishnu Orchestra, The Weather Report, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it's brilliant, but also kind of awful.
Man, I can just think of the albums, Back to Basics, Thumpin' Good Time, all classic.
Yeah, once Captain Beefheart finished their set there.
Like, there's that little moment where everyone's off on their little thing. The guitarist actually comes back with a really good deal from their old manager.
Yeah.
And the deal is like, hey, like, we were fucking falling apart here in the States, but remember that last song? For whatever reason, it's huge in Japan.
Because they love sex farms in Japan. They actually grow them on trees.
Oh, fuck.
I don't even know what that means. But yeah, we kind of grazed over it, but the manager also quit at the same time the guitarist quit. He's just like throwing a little like fit. Oh, there's no sex and drugs in the world for Ian. He has to be the straight fella all the time. He's got to book the gigs, and oh no.
And everybody was just indifferent, just like, yeah, so.
They're like, all right, you can leave. I got this bitch right here who can run the gigs. It's whatever.
One small running gag is like, this is tough. They broke up. They're going to get back together so they can do well in Japan. And when they play their very first show, the guitarist gets radio signals through his fucking gear again.
Yep.
And the movie just fucking ends.
And, well, not the drummer, but is it like the keyboard? Somebody just spontaneously combusts in this scene, too. And they never mention it. It's just like
he's the drummer again.
Gone in a puff of smoke. And I'm like, well, do they have 2 drummers? Is this Slipknot? What's going on here? Because they finish the song and there's a guy playing drums. Does the keyboardist just like slide over or something? It's like, oh, well, we planned this. Like our fullback got hurt, so I guess the running back, the backup, has to slide into that position. It is what it is.
Yeah, like it turns out if you're a keyboardist for a rock band, you're just a bench warmer for the drummer.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but we get to a point where it kind of sums up the whole thing. Rob Reiner is talking to, I think it's Harry Shearer's character, he's like, do you feel like playing rock and roll keeps you from growing up, like some sort of arrested development? He's like, no, it's like a national park where they preserve the moose, and that's my childhood up on stage. That's the moose.
Then Rob Reiner's like, so you're saying playing rock and roll is like being a preserved moose? And like he looks off into the distance for like a beat. He's like, yeah, that's it.
And that's it. That's the movie. Nothing actually happens. It's just about a garbage tier rock and roll band from the 70s trying to survive into the 80s.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I do have a special place for this movie, and I know I enjoyed it more than you guys, but
I don't know that you know that.
Well, I think the jokes are there. It's like a slow burn at first, and then like snowballs and something much better by the end. Extremely quick movie. it's definitely a talky movie if that turns people away.
Mhm.
But if you were in the mood for it, it will hit every beat.
I disagree in that I don't think this is a comedy movie that you have to be in the mood for. I think this is a movie that I could put on any day of the week, just keep it in the background and just catch like little glimpses of what's going on. There's not a whole lot of sight gags. It's all in the dialogue. And as long as I'm hearing that dialogue, as long as I'm hearing that little, these go to 11, or, you know, fucking any of the just toss off lines that you're hearing through it, I'm enjoying it. I had a great time watching this movie for the first time. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
This tasteless movie is a good indication of the lack of musical invention within. The musical growth of this band cannot even be charted. They are treading water in a sea of retarded sexuality, bad poetry. But I'm just nitpicking.
Jesus, I feel like a bit in Billy Madison, a simple no would have sufficed.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm being honest, these songs, they kind of slap. Can I actually listen to this stuff? Is this available? Is there a soundtrack?
Despite the movie, this is a real band. They do tour. They have a handful of albums.
I need it. I need all
YouTube,
of it.
it's all there. They even had like a track pack on Rock Band forever ago.
Fuck yeah.
Well, there you have it. This was Spinal Tap. Do you have any strong feelings about the movie or the show? Leave it in the comment section below.
Please tell us everything you like about this movie and any of the things that you don't like as well. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Be sure to hit that little bell icon down there so you don't miss anything that we've got brewing up next.
Make sure you follow us on all the different social medias. We got that Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. We're out there on YouTube, and thanks to the Anchor app, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. There's no reason you guys aren't listening. And if you don't give us and our administrator, who's constantly making new shit for you guys, a listen, then we're just going to have to force feed you a shark sandwich.